Hi again. In chapter 17 of 30 Years of Watchtower Slave, William Schnell is talking about the birth and implementation of the theocracy in 1938. Rutherford apparently is being, whether he knows it or not, shoved aside as a consortium forms the third tier of the Watchtower theocracy since its inception in the days of Russell, 1879 onwards. The third tier is, of course, the board of directors, which is usually between 6 and 8 men. He's just dealt with that. Now he deals with the two lectures that Rutherford gave in 1938 at the assembly. The booklets produced from these two lectures were called Face the Facts and Fill the Earth. Here's Face the Facts. Of course, fascism and freedom was a topic of keen interest to all. Fascism was rampant in Europe and war loomed on the horizon. Realizing that the doctrinaire separateness of Jehovah's Witnesses was going to lead them to claim exemption as ministers and conscientious objectors, the judge declared that the theocracy was in favor of freedom and against regimentation. Yet, while the judge thus publicly made this declaration, we knew that freedom would in no wise be tolerated within the ranks. Arbitrary denial of individuality was the organizational motif, and we would be forced to carry out the elimination of the personal religion of Jesus from the ranks of Jehovah's Witnesses. Thus, at the very moment that he was talking against the totalitarianism of fascism and Nazism, the judge was laying the groundwork to employ under cover these very tactics in his organization. In this manner, the judge was creating a background which would prevent any move to declare the Watchtower Society as being opposed to war. Judge Rutherford had learned his lesson during the First World War. Besides, he did not now need to create an issue, for now he was the hero, not the villain he had been when the First World War broke out. He redeclared the Society's neutrality in all war matters. This talk, Face the Facts, which later was published in a booklet which was distributed by the millions, was the first of a series of declarations which culminated in 1941 in the booklet entitled Neutrality. This series of declarations helped Jehovah's Witnesses to stay out of the war in this country and earned them only 5-year jail sentences where they failed. Its success in this first test of the theocracy to protect its subjects of kingdom publishers, which ordeal came with World War II, mightily advanced the Society's cause in all the world after the war. Even today, hundreds of thousands are joining to stay out of possible war activity. This is without a doubt one of the underlying causes for the Society's phenomenal rise and increase in the post-war years. Now he deals with Fill the Earth. But while the judge declared opposition to totalitarianism and neutrality to the outside world, he sounded the tocsin for the start of a relentless campaign to make all Jehovah's Witnesses absolutely totalitarian. With the advent of the theocracy came the primary task of training all those coming under its spell. In this training work here in America and later throughout the world, thousands of young people were preferred because they had no dependents and encumbrances, and the Society wished to keep as many unattached as possible. For that reason, the new Watchtower Society proclaimed the doctrine of Fill the Earth, creating an atmosphere of urgency in the first talk, Fascism or Freedom, with the vista of war ahead, perhaps Armageddon, as the judge alluded. Using the old Watchtower scarecrow, perhaps the end of the world, it was easy for the judge to impress these young people not to marry before Armageddon, since it was so close. Was it not much better to wait until the millennium to raise their families? Rather stay single now and devote your years to the theocracy. Later, in 1940, this was followed up doctrinally in the book Children, with the stirring and touching story of John and Eunice. Here were two young Jehovah's Witnesses deeply in love with each other, but both being theocratically minded, they decided to wait until after Armageddon before getting married. They decided this because the end of the world was at hand. The Watchtower Society always has a long-range and a short-range objective, or a minor and a major fulfillment of the prophecies they interpret in their writings. Keeping their theocratic fingers crossed, they hoped to persuade a multitude of young people never to marry. At worst, they hoped to delay their getting married for from 5 to 10 years, or at least until they got their increase and training program in the whole world well underway. That they merely used the doctrine "fill the earth" as a ruse in order to block marriage for a time can be seen from what happened later when the missionary work in foreign lands had been successfully launched. A veritable march of the millions, a la Noah's Ark, 2 by 2, then began to the platforms of the kingdom halls to be married. This was led by the highest officials of the society, the hardcore of the theocratic bachelors, who suddenly decided not to wait until after Armageddon, but to rather get married now, to fill the earth. The charming story of John and Eunice in the book Children, so beautifully written, was soon forgotten, and that book cannot be procured anywhere now from Jehovah's Witnesses. He's talking here from the vantage point of the mid-50s. It has become one of their many organizational skeletons rattling in their secret places. Like the prediction of the end of the world in 1914 and in 1925, and then the prediction of Armageddon after the war, fill the earth had served its purpose of steaming up the witnesses and is now discarded. That is routine procedure in the society. Misusing the prophetic utterances of Jesus in Matthew 24, they tailor-made tremors and rumors of war. Usually such rumors originate somewhere near the center of Bethel. There is what is known as the theocratic grapevine, along with such tremors vibrate fanwise. Watch for the UN, or look out for Russia. Such rumors and their ominous purport are subtly originated and circulated and serve to stir the faithful publishers to greater exertions. Then, when they have served their purpose, like all other rumors and end-of-the-world predictions of the Watchtower Society, they wane and are forgotten. Soon, new theocratic ripples start from Brooklyn, vibrating over the theocratic grapevine, creating new fears and phobias to speed the tempo of the corybantic dance of the Jehovah's Witnesses around the image of the beast, the theocracy of 1938. I'll put in a link to what Ray Franz has to say. He was one of these young people who was all set afire by these late 30s and early 40s addresses by not only Rutherford but by his uncle, Fred Franz, and the policy that was implemented around that time, especially marked in the children book. Ray Franz and his generation suffered mightily from the consequences of that because many of them never had children and therefore never enjoyed grandchildren or regular family life at all. Ray Franz on the book Children on your screen. See you next time.